Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today Colonel Rupinder here, who has served in the Indian Army for close to 21 years. And in this interview, we'll try to understand his journey of joining Indian Army, life with the Indian Army, and various life lessons that he has learned through his service. So thank you, sir, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you, Akash. It's a pleasure for the Military Mantra to have me on this show, and the great opportunity to connect to the youth of India and those who are always passionate for the uniform. It's a pleasure.
Sir, since you are also a helicopter pilot, before I proceed with the questions, I just want to ask, how does it feel, to be in the cockpit of a helicopter? Because every, kid would have dreamed of being a pilot, be a fighter pilot of a transport. So how does it feel when you first, landed on a cockpit of a helicopter?
Akash, to be truthful, we were a batch who started with flying, with fixed wings. So, so we were on HPT 32s, which is the British origin aircraft in the Air Force Academy, Dundigal. And it's one of the unique aircraft in the world, which can do all possible maneuvers, right? And I think there's nothing, we go to Wonderland, we go to, all these coaster rides. And I think you're actually like a responsible kid in the cockpit, right? You love speed, you're doing maneuvers, you're in the top of the world. The world looks so small to you. You look like a boss, right? It's like you feel the world is under you, under your command, right? It's 3D maneuvers. You can do what you wish to do, but you are so responsible. You are doing your due diligence. You're always alert. You are mission oriented. You're never flying for pleasure as a military pilot. So there is a huge sense of achievement. There's a huge sense of accomplishment. Never in your life you feel that your mission has not been successful. You are able to do something, whether it's into somebody's life or to get what you are lodged for. But at the same time, there's nothing which can be a better feeling than being a bird, a responsible bird in the sky, right? And it's just a different world. You go around the clouds, things which you can never ever dream. It's like a fantasy coming true.
Got it, sir. Sir, I would like to, take you back to the journey of before you joined the Forge. How was your life? If you could, picture that for us, and what motivated you back then to join the Indian Army?
To be truthful, I was the most notorious and a naughty kid of my family. Being the eldest kid, pampered, spoiled. All we saw was my grandfather was a police officer, saw him in uniform. We were good in sports. That was, and a village boy, living closer to a city all the time, look at, aircraft going. And we had a canal, and, it used to be, used to call it, Forge scheme pe aayi hai. Nobody knew it's exercise, doing crossing a canal operations or something. So you see those Fauji, floating around us, and anytime they're coming to the village, they'll get attention. People will go out, see. We as kids will feel, jeep ja rahi hai, jonga ja raha hai. So that was a life which we lived, in our villages. And if I happen to be from area where Gurbachan Singh Salaria and those Paramveer Chakra Vijetas were born, and got groomed up listening to all this Shah Singh stories and Hindustan Ki Kasam movies. That's what was the family background, because my dad was LCCC selected holder. He represented the Republic Day parade. He himself he appeared for SSB and couldn't get through because of his medical reasons. Every time he'll get selected, he had a bullet wound, in his knee. So he got used to get rejected because of that. So, wo sunte, all about, uniform and how they do it. And it used to get so spirited listening to war stories from the family, and being responsible, how it can be. You can do so much. And it made us do things that way. And everything was, khelo, physically fit raho, acha socho, do this, don't do this. So it was like, and luckily I was sent to a good ICSE school, and our administrator was an ex-army officer, Captain retired Bandhari. So, shoes has to be polished, your tie has to touch your, belt, and your haircut has to be this and that. So shuru se jute, typical that drilled grooming was there, and that way kept on being motivated, and then always we used to listen. If you have to clear NDA or CDS, general knowledge, achha hona chahiye, akhbar padho, ye karo, newspapers, employment news, whatever was the resources available. There was no Google, and there was no Instagrams and all those things which we have luxuries now, right? No Wikipedia, so everything used to be dug into. You have to study, you have to do well, you have to be good, right? And at the same time, you have to be physically fit, you have to be mentally agile, and keep yourself, don't get into trouble, with the law. So you have to be law abiding. At the same time, you are, into things, extracurricular activities. I think that's what how it was. And then I used to love writing, and I was English editor with the college magazines, and I'll write blogs. I started theater when I was grade 3, and I was never camera shy, so went on the stage, did all those things. I think there was involuntarily, bina kisi planning ke, I think the things were happening around me, which later on I realized that that's what you need in an army officer. You don't need to be totally padaku, into studies doing nothing, or can't be at the same time only into physical activities and know nothing about the world. So that was a background which I lived with, and I think it helped me later on to know about all these things. I think it was great to be, as what do you call it, as you have to be a naughty kid to be, I think, do well in army. Your brain has to think. You can't be we call it a duffer, who sits wherever, and it doesn't move. Or Sharif Bacha, I don't think so, is a good Fauji term. I think all defense officers are naughty. Some way or other.
Got it, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if you could, also tell us about your experience during the service selection board. Also, what tips you'd like to give to the aspirants who are watching this?
Akash, I have to be very truthful. There was no, training in those times. There were a lot of academies now. There are a lot of opportunities, like we are talking, and a lot of young aspirants are listening and they understand. In our times, the only learning was, you just copy some army officer. You know somebody who's your senior. You look at them and you see how they walk. You go and meet them, see how they are different than you. So that was my only training, which was for the SSB. And anybody you ask, they say, the army likes just to be honest, whatever it is. Overnight you can't develop your personality. Just go, be truthful, all those things. So I went, some people gave a hint, carry a nice tie or a suit. So, you carried all the way. I was in 20 SSB, Bhopal, traveled from Amritsar in Chhattisgarh Express. It stops at every damn station. Or 2-2.5 din baad, when you reach Bhopal, and you're wearing a jeans and, your hair are ruffled because you got up from the train. They took you there. I carried my suit and my tie and everything, all just, spick and span, polished shoes. When we landed there, nobody knew. There were certain people, from army background who knew all this, like tips and everything. Like always, like, people like me, who would say, oh, hockey mein captain the, aage khade ho jao. So I stood in front. This is, they allotted us the chest number. So I was chest number 1, right? And then, our boxes and everything were there. This is, baki sabko bola, okay, all chest number 1 and 2 stay here. Let's go to your barracks. So they took others to the barrack, and we started wondering why we have been stopped. Maybe, there is any issue with our documentation. I don't even know what's going to hit us because we are not prepared anything. And suddenly, there's one officer walks up to us. He says, okay, test number 1, you have an interview now. I look at myself. I said, all this suit, tie, I couldn't even have time to wear. And I was wearing a round neck, some jersey, not even combed hair, not even washed face. So that's where I entered, for my interview. And then, the interview started and all this, questions which they rattle you, from this and that. And the worst challenges were questions like, because there was Punjab was under terrorism. Then when, I went in 1990. So I still remember one question, which was literally a googly for me. It says, what do you think will be your demand if you are a terrorist? That was, so anything can fall on you like a bombshell, or, it's like a paradrop, so that's how SSB is. And, then questions like suddenly they turned up with a GTO asking you, okay, what will you choose? In a group discussion, a beautiful wife or educated wife or a rich wife, and all you all you say is, oh, I'll have a beautiful wife. You have no other clue. All you're looking at this, you say, yeah, why, and explain. Funny things came up. Suddenly you say, okay, you have a lecture. You have to give 3 minute lecture on what? Oh, chess number one. You just go suddenly blank. See what preparation you can do. So that's why I was saying, when you're a child, that grooming, how you've been, thinking all this, things in situations, and you being naughty and you being, versatile in your life. It helps you a lot, because nobody can train you what question they can ask. They can ask anything on this earth, and it doesn't. It's not necessary they have to ask you general knowledge, or what is India's foreign policy. Nobody asked me in the SSB, so I think it's a very beautiful experience. And not only I'll only give us that it's not about sometimes we get too focused because army or something. We have to be physically fit, and physical aspect. The obstacle course is just for one segment of that.
Correct.
Right after that, it's all more about how versatile you can think, how you react to situations, how quick decisions you can make. You there's no time to think, right? And I think the best tip is, you can definitely polish your skills, but it's better that if you want to dream about army, it's not suddenly after you do graduation you start dreaming about it. You have to start living army, or defense long ago, so that every quality which they're being looking at, there's some element of that into that, because it's very difficult to, if one can think about cheating, a group of people, they're qualified officers, and there's a cross section. You're going to test it for physical, on ground, in writing, and verbal. So it's very different. SSB is a different ball game. It's not like other interviews where you just speak and impress people, right? They're going to make you speak. They're going to answer your question. They're going to have similar type of a thing being checked when you're on a ground, or a situation reaction test, or maybe a group task, or individual task. So I will only say is that develop yourself, be versatile, be a thinker, be positive. That's most important. Many times you can't pretend, right? Be original, what you are. But at the same time, just it's a good thing to see and interact with people who are officers. Listen to them, observe that what different you are. I have a friend of mine who was in 75 Armored, and it was at Pathankot, very close to my home. I'll go on a weekend to be with him for some time, and rather than sitting there and eating or talking, I'll observe how what is different in these guys, how they talk, how they approach situations, what is their type of thinking they are. So you start imbibing things much earlier, and I think those things will help a lot. And definitely, we should be well aware. We should be aware what's happening around. We should know about our country. That's what it is. I think being genuine, being raw, is the most important thing. You just go and deliver your best, and don't get too focused on studies or too focused on only physical activities. Just don't have preconceived ideas. That's what I think. I think if like I went to the preconceived, somebody told me go in a suit, they look at your dress. Yes, definitely. But if a person like me couldn't wash my face, but I still got selected, I think they're looking for far beyond things than just what you can offer and how you appear.
Project, yeah.
Got
it. So nowadays, where we all go to, SSBs, there are a lot of coaching institute. We hear about something called 15 OLQs. That is officer like qualities. So now that you're a retired officer, if you could, put perspective of what you think about these officer like qualities. Did you already have when you went to SSB, or was it eventually developed as part of your training and the service period? So what do you think about that?
There are officers like qualities which everybody knows this standard qualities, which I think it should be in every human being. It's not something which you need. You be it in your own home. You need to be decisive. You need to be humorous. You need to be honest, trustworthy, confident. These are not something I never feel that is only required in army. I think this is required for any responsible citizen of the country, right? I don't know whether I had it or not, because I didn't get any training. I was absolutely raw. But as things went into the academy, definitely, you start feeling that yes, your instructors are, they are emphasizing a lot when they are talking to you, when they're giving you things. It's not directly taught to you, but I think your overall personality is groomed that way. That you have to be trustworthy, you have to be confident. They give you boost your confidence. You're facing people. Your uh, devotion, your loyalty for your regiment or your team or your academy, those qualities, they develop you into that. But I think you need to have them in you. Yes, definitely academy or a coaching center can polish it. Once you're made aware, this is what I need to work. Basically, what you need to work is the gaps which you may have. You may be, there may be some quality which you may be having lesser, but you can definitely, over a period of time, you can practice it. You can enhance your behavior, your, those traits. Uh, Otherwise, I never knew I had it. It's I think the SSB knew if I had it, and they found that aspect in me. But today, if I have to tell the young people, yes, definitely, I feel that their journey of preparation for the SSB starts much longer than the coaching center. These are the good facilities; these are facilitators. But you know, otherwise, if that would have made a difference to everybody, I think that everybody from that center should be selected. But that's I can watch that in my 20 SSB, I was the only person who was selected. I think it was more known as people rejection centers than selection centers. But that doesn't need to be discouraged. It's not a discouragement. But that's how it is. You have to be the best out of best, right? And they're going to select what they need,
Right.
right? And sometimes you see even Amitabh and a lot of such people who are famous outside in the world, they got rejected in the SSB. I don't think so that one should feel that if he doesn't get selected in SSB center of the world, you have it or you don't have it. It's that's how it is. And I personally feel that it's one of the best selection cross section where you are checked in every way, in writing and work in on ground and how you speak. There's no other interview in the world which is as deliberate as the several selection boards in India. And the real preparation is that just be true. You have to be if they understand that what their parents tell them from day one, be honest, be trustworthy, don't be loyal, right? These are basic qualities. You want in army, you want in the relationships, you want in a family. There's nothing which army asks you to do different. I think
Correct.
that's what we need in everybody, right? It's if you just try to be a good human being, I think you will be selected in a system. That's how I look at it.
Completely understand that.
Yeah.
Sir, you went through serious entry, then you went to officer training academy. If you could, tell us any memories that you have from your academy life.
They're all funny. They're good. They're bad. I will say that the reason is when I cleared CDS, and I was actually a math student in my graduation. I cleared it for IMA and both. But then I was generally giving an impression to my father. He says, go for 5 years and see if it suits you, because I'll always think that I don't know whether I'm going to like it or not, right? So that was my reason to go to OTA. I says, okay, let me see. But trust me, when I went there, it hit me so hard because my friends who went to IMA, they felt, oh, they do PT on one day, they do drill on another day, and we were bombarded with drill and PT in the same day. So we would, you sweat through a PT, you have no time to wear even, take a shower, then change into uniform. वो मजार की गर्मी बजरी, वो that. And when we used to write letters, you say, yeah, the weather is so good, it's so cool, it's a cool breeze. I think OTA is not only tough whereas the schedule is concerned, because you're doing everything together in one day. It's another challenge is the biggest challenge is weather. It's not easy. It's not everybody's cup of tea to be getting through OTA. You really need to be mentally tough. And that was one thing. And I think what OTA taught me is that you are camaraderie comes to you so much. That's the fun part of it. Only the first time you see, when one of the your course mates do some mistake, and everybody's on their knees, and you think, why the hell I'm doing it. But later on, I think within some time you start having so much of fun. In fact, senior तुम्हें रगड़ा दे रहा है, तुम enjoy कर रहे हो, you're laughing, because you're thinking, अच्छा ठीक है, तुम रगड़ा दो, मुझे मजा आ रहा है. That's how it used to be. You'll always challenge yourself. अच्छा अभी okay, आज 100 push-ups मरवाए हैं, कल I'll make 120. You start feeling that, okay, ठीक है, तुम that's the type of fun it will be. तुम्हारे साथ में भी other person is on the hands down, वो भी हंस रहा है, तुम भी हंस रहे हो. It's, I think there's nothing better. You sweat together, you train together. There's so much of fun. And best used to be, सबसे अच्छा खाना है. You go inside the mess. There's a beautiful. Everything is so well laid out. और तुम्हें मिलते हैं 1 minute. कभी 1 minute में बाहर. Your senior tells you, all you do is go, roll rotiya in your napkin with jam and everything, put it in your pocket, and then after that you're doing rolling. By the time you come home, to your room, it's all filled with sweat and everything. But wo jo maza aata hai, your sweat-filled roti and your jam, and because everybody's having that, I think that makes you really mentally tough. It really tells you that there is nothing on this earth which you can't do. You feel so much of power, and that's the time you realize, you so much underestimate yourself till you are not tested in the academy. And one of dialogues sunne ko milte hain, your adjutant will come and tell you, he says, nobody's ever died of hard work. Nobody's ever died of, you put your head into the wall and says, yeah, nobody's having mercy on me. But, that's how it is. Funny things happen, I still remember when we were new cadets, we used to walk in the first 2-3 days, make you walk and run and this. And we see a senior going on a bicycle, and the cycles get issued. I don't know how things are now, but that time, cycles will get issued. We used to wonder, kab mein cycle issue hoga, when I'll be able to, move around on a bicycle, at least with little comfort. And the day, we got a cycle issued. The first evening, the Ragada Patti, which a senior policy says, okay, come with the pittu and all this thing, Badri packs with your cycle. So we feel, okay, at least we can bicycle it, and it will be easy for our legs. There you go, and says, put your cycle in your, tum gale mein dalo. It's like everybody is regretting why the hell we got cycles issued. So those are the funny things. And somebody telling you, tum jab academy mein jaoge, you'll sleep with your eyes open. What the hell is this? Is all bullshit. What is this? Eyes open mein kaise banda sota hai? But you still remember, itni tumhari halat kharab hoti hai ki lecture going on, your eyes are open because aankh band hogi, so you are going to get another ragda, right, for closing your eyes. You're sleeping blank. You are not even seeing anything, but you're trying to do that. The funny incidents happens when you're outdoor. I still remember in one of the training, we were sitting outdoor and under some kika trees, because the Madras mein aur koi ped hote nahi. So it was all kika trees and there was hardly any shade. So sitting in, and suddenly, I wake up and I see there's nobody around me, because everybody left, and the instructor will say, no, let him be there. You're wondering, so that is OTA, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's used to be, and people like us who gone raw, no army background, nothing, drill square mein gaye. Only thing which is focus is motivation, ke bhai DST clear hoga, so you'll get out fast. You'll get out of the jail, right? So, you're working hard even at night. And, when suddenly in the drill square, the star tells you, okay, right feet up. He wants to see how many nails you have. Tum pair uthate ho, he says, GC, 3 extra duties, nail come back. You have no clue, kitne nail lagane hai, because nobody taught you something, right? Agle din you tell your, that guy who comes to polish your shoes or something, bhaiya, isme na kafi sare nail lagwa ke lao. Okay, so the guy puts a lot of nails, and 3rd, 4th day I was again made to, okay, left feet up. मैं पैर ऐसे किया, उस्ताद कहता 3 extra duty, nail ज्यादा है. I said, उस्ताद मुझे ये तो बताओ, how many nails you want? He says, तुम्हें GC पता होना चाहिए. So I think those are the memories. There's a lot of fun. I think life would have never been same. I would have never been what I am had I not gone through OTA with that camaraderie, that struggling together, going through the pain. and having fun and supporting each other. You never let your buddy, your coursemate go back. Somebody's weak, somebody's good in running, somebody's good in something. You always support somebody. You don't try to be a man, and I think that to take along with your men and your people around, I think usse zyada, it's a family outside your home. Those are your real brothers. You start realizing, even if I have a brother at home, he's actually of no use to me. He'll not going to support me what I need at that time. So your people around you from all the way from Chennai se hai, kahin se hai, kahin se hai, everybody, you forget all this caste, creed, religion in real sense, and all you have is he's my postmate, he's my buddy, we passed out together. I think that feeling, it doesn't come in true sense if you don't go through an academy like this. I'm grateful. Whatever I have achieved in my life is all in all because of that training which I got from OTA.
True, sir. Sir, right after officer training academy, you opted for the artillery regiment. So, what motivated you back then to select for the artillery?
The first thing is, in academy, there are a lot of funny things happen. Somebody say, "Oh, infantry is queen of battle." This, that, and suddenly, people like us, alpha males, they say, "Oh, no, I want to go for the king of the battle, right? I will the god of war." These dialogues you hear. So I opted for god of war and king of battle just because of this. The one reason was we were hearing a lot about buffers, right? And which I happen to be in one of the regiments with buffers. There are a lot of scandal going on, and buffers, and it goes these many kilometers. This has got a big shell. It has rapid firing ability. All those things which we hear. So those are the things, and I actually been into sports which are contact sports, kabaddi, and also I was a hard hitter. I always believed in a hard punch, right, which helped me in CIA and other stuff. So I think that was one thing I always say, I should, aisa hona chahiye, I should bombard and, destroy the enemy. So that was, I think, pre-riding factor. And second used to be, when I used to, I had no clue how Punjab regiment looks or how the only person I have seen it was my friend of mine who was in 75 armored. And, I used to feel, let me see, what type of uniform. And when, you see instructors and everything, I used to see that red backing and a big badge of artillery and, big lanyard on the right side. Those things were spoken. Oh, artillery wears on the right side. So I said, that's the uniform penny or the luggage. When I go to my village, it should look like the officer I have. So I think those were the big things. Then I want to be part of artillery, and I think I did a beautiful thing. It was a great life. Have a lot of equipment, variety of whether it's buffers or field guns or 130. I think I missile howitzer. I have an opportunity to be with all equipments which cross because that's. I think it was a great decision.
Got it. Yeah. Sir, you were also an ADC to the corps commander and also the div commander. So if you could tell us what is the process of somebody getting selected for it, and how does your one day as a routine look like as an ADC? What do you do?
Akash, I think I was lucky. I just told you, I was raw, and there were no no uncles and aunties in the army, so I just went there. I think the senior officers look. They always on a lookout. I mean, I feel that way. They see that who's better than the lot. And this appointment as such, because you're going to be the most confidential appointment. You have somebody has to confide. You're so close to a journal or his family or his every day. That trust needs to be there. That feeling when a senior officer is interacting with you. It can be any time. I don't even know. My first interaction, I think, was with just on how I was in the swimming pool, right? And that's where the chief of staff, the corps, he just saw me and the way I was conducting myself, or the way he was the one who actually recommended. I had no clue. For me, from a civil background, when I was called, he said, the corps commander just wants to meet you for his to be his ADC. I said, ADC was why is an army also has additional DC? For me, I had no clue. It's called AD camp or it's ADC exists in army, right? I'll think why does it? I always thought additional DCs and it's IES officer. Okay, that was my understanding, and I think there's officers who look around you and they look at your qualities. It's the same OLQs which we keep talking. I think they can trust you. You should be able to be different than your other peers around you. So that's what it is. Otherwise, as I grew, I saw that yes, definitely there is a pool when you have your annual confidential reports written by your COs and brigade commanders and others. There are different recommendations, and ADC is one of the recommendations. And if they feel that yes, you are fit to be an ADC, so they definitely recommend you for that. But in the end, the final selection is always it's a personal appointment, right? Which doesn't have a hierarchy of rating you. It's a one-man report. So you are personal appointment. So it has to be whether it's a div commander or the corps commander, they have to select you. And these appointments cannot be, Army headquarters, MS branch cannot force this appointment to a general or a governor or anybody. So I think you continue to be maintaining your same qualities, whatever you were there in the SSP. I think that makes a lot of difference, and that's made a difference for me. And I can definitely share. Many times though we go through SSB, we start thinking this way. Somebody can influence your report or something. You start getting report oriented. One of the div commanders who selected me was none of them from my regiment. Okay, generally, the general officers will like to have officers from their own regiment, from their own battalion. I was none of them. Okay, right? I was not from their battalion, certainly not from the regiments. So, I was used to be patrolling in one of the brigades in the JNK. And, we were from RT, but it was an infantry brigade. We used to go and brief sometime because we were under the brigade for certain, road openings and other stuff. I never used to care. I used to feel sometimes there was some time you used to see other officers, not dressed up that well, what they should be, which they will do in the artillery brigade. But just because they're going to now an infantry brigade, they'll say, humne ka lena type attitude. But I used to maintain that, okay, I'll always go, I'll see, doesn't matter. It's an army. I have to be in front of a brigade commander. I have to brief properly. I have to be what I am. Doesn't matter if it's my commander or somebody's commander. Later on, once I was back from one of the patrolling, I got a call in my, exchange. It used to be that 5 alpha, that, the Gumane wale phone and all. Koi brigadier so-and-so aapse baat karna chahte hain. The commander, infantry brigade has left. He's gone somewhere to attack. He called me, he says, son, I'm so-and-so, and I'm going as GOC in this division. Would you like to come as my ADC? I says, this will be my pleasure. He says, that's fine. Later on, when I was serving with him, he told me, he said, you are the only guy who, I was not responsible for your reporting. You're not reporting to me in any way, but the way you conducted, the way you were dressed up, the way you will conduct yourself, and that's what is the quality. When you're not responsible to somebody, nobody's reporting you. Doesn't matter somebody watching you or not. You have to be an officer. You have to represent Indian Army officer in the way you are supposed to be, the way you are trained. I think that's what you need to have, that quality, because it's something somebody has to select you, and you are literally like a part of the family. And I did a lot of blunders as that, and I think I never had an idea. I still remember the corps commander has to go somewhere in the evening, and I came with his staff car, and he says, son, they always address you generally as son. You're like a kid to them, right? Their family. He says, son, are the pilots ready? I'm supposed to go by road. Why do you need pilots? We have to fly. Suddenly you have always somebody, Colonel MS, somebody to go forward. I called him. I said, sir, GOC is looking for a pilot. No, you didn't tell CMP. So a lot of things come to you, okay, CMP, this is also called pilots, right? So I'm just saying that I was so clueless about certain things, and I think they supported me. They'll always, they see your intention, right? Many times we have a myth, Army is very strict, usme galti nahi kar sakte. I think the way the blunders I've done, if it's non-intentional, it's genuine, they all understand you. I think that the best part of being in defense forces is that your seniors are looking at you as like younger brothers. They groom you. They're not picking your mistakes, right? And they're not there to gun you down. Oh, tumne galti kiya. Now you. So I think that's one thing, and this is a lifelong lesson which I learned. That it used to be said, aap galti karo, galti hogi, but don't repeat your mistake. That means you're not learned from it. Okay, I think that's the beauty of it. You have the freedom to execute things, but there are people to support you. They always stand by you. And I think every senior of mine, if I did a blunder, they always stood by me. And sometimes I still, when I look back, I tell my kids, I always laugh at how clueless I was. I had no idea. I used to go convoy जाती 4-5 गाड़ियां. The Adam JC will come to you, साहब जो रास्ते में जा रहे हैं. They have to sometimes have tea from outside. कहीं पे रास्ते में खाना भी खाना पड़ता है, साहब पैसे देना. ठीक है, खाना खाना. Okay, I $2300, $2300. So it used to be the basic pay. थोड़ी सी salary मिलती थी. बाकी we used to ask from home. Army was never like a job. It's a life, right? So you have a king style life, and your parents are supporting you. कुछ ना कुछ. I said, यार ये कौन सी punishment मिल गई मुझे posting ADC बन के. मेरा जेब से खर्चा हो यार. साहब पैसे देना. In the end, after 10-15 days, I said, यार मेरा 1000-1500 तो ऐसे लग गया. How do I recover it? मेरी जेब से कुछ आ रहा. Because unluckily there was the previous ADC has gone, and there was nobody to hand over me anything like that. Uske saman ke liye, when he had to get his saman, he just came for a night. I just, listen to me. Do you used to spend this much? How do you manage your funds? He says, no, there's the GOC's fund. You don't know. Oh, I said, oh, thank God. Ye bhi hota hai. Okay. So, sometimes, you look back and you feel, how clueless you were, but still, I think those senior officers, they groomed you, and it's one of the best news, I think, for a young officer, because see, you're so responsible at such a young age. You're hearing so much of higher level strategies and thinking, and the biggest thing is you're close to somebody who's different, who's going in so high in the hierarchy. You'd see how different you are. It's not sufficient only to be an army officer. It's very different. It's also a continuous learning. I think I learned a lot. The continuous learning. You see how they think. You see how different they are. How much self-improvement. How much self-discipline they have. How decisions are made. I think it helped me to make to understand army a lot more and much earlier than a lot of my postmates. It helped me to interact with a lot of officers which I couldn't have from different arms. So you develop such great relationships. Your exposure is very different. The way you see core level exercises, div level exercises, and then getting back to the regiment. You are different. You definitely go one edge up if you have utilized these scenarios well. So plus, what do you need as a young officer? You have gypsies and all this glamour to attract all the crowd around. Okay, and I think you don't need to spend much. It's an attractive appointment. Your dress is attractive. You're doing things which are glamorous. You're meeting people, and you always have good partners to dance. Right? I think that's a big motivation for young officers to be making sure that they always be what they are told in the academy, to be having such appointments. It's a great exposure.
Got it, sir. Sir, during your army tenure, you also opted for the aviation. So if you could, put light on what the process looks like, because you were an artillery officer. So what happens when you opt for aviation, and what is the process like before you become an actual aviator?
Akash, the process is it's a merit, right? It's a lot of officers who want to be. It's the only officer who's an aviator is also an army officer and who's also a pilot. I think this is the ultimate thing which one can achieve, right? So it's a strict process. You go through once in a lifetime test, which is a PABT, Pilot Aptitude Battery Test. This is the only test in the world where you cannot repeat. You either make it or you don't make it. And what I know is it's something which nothing outside any training can be trained on the battery. You test it there. So you have to go through, you apply, and once you call for your PABT test, you go through your PABT. There is a written element also that, and there's a skill element into that. And then you go through your medical, which is the Air Force medical. It's different than Army. Your leg length, your sitting heights, your other lot of strict things are done. And once all that is done, the whole pool, you make it to the merit, right? And there used to be around 24 vacancies when we were there. So you have to be in top 24. It's all arms. Anybody from, whether it's engineers or whether it is artillery, AD, infantry, armored, anybody, any arm can apply. So to be an aviator, so it's a lot of competition, and it's a very big pride to be part of that merit. And then once you go into the merit, then you go through your flying training, your basic training, and then your helicopter training, your operational training. You have to continuously pass in that. You can't fail. There's a lot of tough thing, which is a lot of strict regime which you go through. And once you qualify your flying test, you qualify your ground subjects, then you pass out and you earn a wing. I think putting a wing on your chest is a dream come true for any aviator. So it's a process where your course reports are better, your ACRs are better to make it to the merit. And anybody who's aspiring to be an aviator and go to Army Aviation, they definitely need to do that. And now they're also direct commissioning, which there's talks on Army Aviation, and I'm sure it's like you have to be in the super block, because everybody, there will not be many vacancies. So if you're in a super block in the academy, you have an option to be opting for aviation. So it's a tough process, but it's worthy. And the preparation starts, like I said, from your bios. You can't have bad course reports and then dream of being an aviator. So you're generally, people who get selected, they're generally cream of the cream.
Got it. Sir, if you could also tell us your first flying experience that you had, the first solo flying experience, once you cleared PABT and went to the academy.
I thought of my dad's one dialogue, because I was a very rash driver. I will always symbolize, the signals, those, they have bike riders and they're daredevils. They're young. You can't try to copy them. Okay, try to stand on your bike or drive it or do a wheelie and all those things. So anytime I'll be on chutti, I'm driving on my road from city to my village, there will be people who know my dad. They'll always say, your son was driving rash. All those things, I'll always get a complaint. My dad will always tell me, he says, bike, he'll tell us in a local language. He says, beta, bike ne na jahaj nahi ban jana. Okay, if you really want to enjoy your speed, go and become a pilot. So that was my biggest motivation. I said, okay, let me do that. And that's what I remembered when I was going for first solo. There was, literally, you're feeling that, anxiety, I don't know what's happening. You remember every family member of yours, you as if you're going to heaven, right? Because there is definitely an element of scare, but at the same time, there's a definitely element of that thrill. All the things, whether from application of your aviation till selection and PABT, you were dreaming for this one day, the day you will have that, stick, that throttle and a stick and, joystick in your hand, and you have a machine to fly, and you will fly like a bird. So there's a mix of feeling, and that's what with me. The first time you see large speeds, and then, suddenly you feel that first time, that G effect when the aircraft takes off. And, then that it's a military flying, it's not a fun flying. So you're going to get into steep angles and and turns and stalls and spins. You're going to be drilled and maneuvered through the space. But let me tell anybody who wants to be like that, the instructors are so good. Your instructor is your godfather. Okay. My instructor, and they pitch down to your level. He knew I'm from a village background. I'm from a farming background. He told me, he said, he briefed me. He said, don't worry. He said, tractor chalaya, maine chalaya. Just treat it like that. Okay. It's just that you have rules, you follow that. It is simple. So they make you feel that confidence. But there was a very different feeling, it's when you take off, there's a G, just say आपको G effect होता है, the first thing you say, "Mummy, मैं गया." That's a type of feeling you get, and then once you're stabilized, then you start getting that enjoyment, and definitely, when you land back after your first solo, there's a sense of feeling, it's a great thing. You are a pilot, right? I think that's something phenomenal. There's no feeling which you get, once you touch down. It's a huge sense of accomplishment.
Got it. Sir, if you could, also tell us one day as an aviator, how does it look like in terms of routine, roles and responsibility? Any ideal day?
Gosh, I think what I saw in aviation was especially when I was in East, when I was doing an ADCs to never, and it was something which it gives you a feeling that you're really making difference in somebody's life. You're never on a mission which is idle. The mission, like, there's a post which is isolated. You are dropping food for your men. You're dropping ammunition for your men, or you're rescuing somebody, and it's such a great feeling, and that's how your day is. You're going to play with weather. You're going to play with the machine. You get up in time. You have to sleep in time. You can't be bluffing yourself. You need 8 hours of sleep. There's always a famous saying, between the bottle to throttle, there has to be 12 hours of gap. You understand that. You're doing it because you can't take it. It's your own life in your own hand.
Yes.
I think nothing makes you more responsible than that feeling. When you're given your life in your own hand, and that you are the one who will be responsible for this. And you are sleeping in time. You're getting up in time. It's generally early mornings. You go fresh. You go and attend your weather briefings. You go through in a briefing room where you are into the air traffic briefing, and then you also exercise every day through an emergency session, which is actually a threat and dreading thing for every aviator, because when you're young, your flying instructor can ask you anybody, and in emergencies you have to be 100%. There's no thinking, because that's how you're trained as an aviator. That you can't. There's nothing to refer. If you have engine failure or you have any hydraulic failure, your hands have to move, at exactly the spot in that fraction of second. There's in the cockpit. It's race against time to survive. So you go through an emergency session, and then once you're out of the briefing, the first feeling is, this is done. You're prepared for your sortie. You have your maps ready. You go as a crew room. You go to the buffet room. You have your pre-flight meals. You have every day you have to self-declare your aviation medicine that yes, you're medically fit. You slept well. There is no medicine which you have taken. There's the aviation medicine specialist who monitors you. Your BP and everything should be correct. And once you have your pre-flight meals, because there are special meals, you realize that you need your brain to function. You need to have proteins. You need to have sugar levels correct. So all those things are done. It's a very regimented morning. And then you're launched. Then you're on a mission. There are different missions. You can be on a search and rescue. You can be on reconnaissance, or you can be on a communication sorties. So you and your co-pilot, you fly off, and you sign your aircraft. You check your aircraft for maintenance. You do all the documentation, and and as per your flight plans, you're flying. And then you're landing at different places, and you're always ready for emergencies. It's a very due diligent approach. There's a very responsible behavior in the cockpit. There is no casualness across on the tarmac, because it's your life. It's your co-pilot's life, and it's such a team spirit. And the thing is, that's where you realize that you can't have personal issues and other things in the cockpit. You leave everything behind. You are a team, and you know that you're going to be responsible for each other's life. Okay, that's how a typical day looks like. And once you finish your mission, it can be one mission or two missions that as per your flying fatigue of the day, which you are governed by, and as per your flight plan, you keep landing back on various bases, or you can come back. It's a very fruitful thing. You do your logging, you write your blue books. What happened, how was this, what was the mission, what lessons you learned. Your co-pilot or your flying instructor signs that, and you come into a debriefing room and you debrief everything. If you have any technical issues, you brief your technical staff, your engineering officers. So it's a very deliberate day, which is there. You go from home in uniform, you change there in overall, flying overall. You maintain your helmets, you maintain your flying dresses, and you keep yourself medically fit. That's every single day, every single mission, every single minute in aviation is different. I have never seen any even a minute repeated because it's a different weather, it's a different route, it's a different challenge. It's so mind tickling. Your brain is always ahead of this aircraft. It's a beautiful feeling. It's never boring. That's one thing. There's no monotony. It's a challenge every time.
Got it. So as an aviator, you spoke, you are into multiple missions which are different from each other. Will be someday in CI, other day medical evacuation. So if you could, share any experiences or memories that you have which you still cherish from your experience in the aviation.
Because there are many, of that, but the one thing I still remember, and it brings, that it shakes me up to my core. I was in Udhampur, and it's a command hospital there.
Yes.
And we fly all around in Northern Command, being there. I was going for my normal medical in command hospital, and suddenly there was a guy with he was in his apna support pay, he couldn't walk, and suddenly I see him touching my feet, without even I realizing. I was just standing there. I looked up, and he had tears in his eyes, and he hugged me. He said, "Saab, aapne maine mujhe bataya tha," right? And you as a pilot, you don't even recognize your casualties which you evacuated. That guy, was actually very critical. There was an encounter happening in one of the posts at Doba Gali, and there was RR battalion. So I still remember there was a firing going on, and they had no hope that there will be an aircraft which will come and take us. There were 6 casualties, and it was live firing. It was continuously encounter was going on. We had no idea. Even because sometimes the terrorists will wear combat uniform that time, right? It was, I'm talking about in 2000, and it was a very bad phase. But me and my co-pilot, we took it as a challenge. I said, doesn't matter, we have to go and get those guys out, otherwise they'll die, because it was a very serious critical injuries which they had because of the ID blast and the bullet wounds. And we went there and we evacuated them. It was a very tough, difficult post because there was no landing space. Actually, we were just hanging on our skid, and we had to open a door and literally pull them in, drag them in and evacuated them. So he was, operated upon, and he survived. So he remembered my face. Okay, right? I think it said, Dada, you cannot. For them, you are a god. The way I can see that face even now, it refreshes my memory of those. It was in 2002. That I think there can be no more sense of achievement and humanitarian act. Really, कि कोई बंदा, तुमने उसकी जान बचाई है. And ऐसे बहुत सारे mission है. There's so many missions where, especially when you are in CI ops and in East, or where you actually do that. Okay, there are many of them, but this is something which shakes me till now. That face is fresh in my mind. Yes, doesn't matter where I go. That I am always in his memories. With the same way, and in his life, in his family's memories. Okay, this is the person who saved. I think that's one of the biggest achievements which I feel as an aviator, that you can literally be a God sent savior for anybody of your, especially your own countrymen. There are many such incidents, and with and that's something which strikes out always.
Got it, sir. So you have spent close to 21 years in the Indian Army. If I can ask, any 3 life lessons which you still cherish, which you learned from the armed forces?
Everything. Let me tell you that. I think every single day is a learning. right? The best thing I learned in from Army is that live life in the moment.
Mm,
You know, we seen crashes, air crash happening in front of us. Okay, literally, the pilots, you were eating around and you're having a crew flight meals, and
mm,
the aircraft is in front of you and suddenly going down, and all you see is flames. Okay, that's the value of life which taught me, what I learned from Indian Army, that we are so stressed about so much of future and we do so much of planning. Definitely, one should do it, but we are never in the moment. I think
mm,
you know this is what I learned the most, and I enjoyed my life because of that. Whatever may have come into my life, I feel that the if I'm getting up in the morning, I'm blessed, right? Doesn't give me a better a thankful approach to life, that I am up in the morning. This is more than enough in the world, to be happy, right? I think nobody would have taught me this in real sense. When you see your colleague, you in encounter, and the bullet
mm.
just passed by you and hit somebody, and the next very second, the life is no more. I think this is the biggest lesson I learned, that value life, value people around you, be it your neighbors. Anything happens, it's always your buddy who's going to be there, who's going to give you your blood, to
Yes.
save you. I think that's what I learned, to be good to your people around you, be it your neighbor. You don't know what's going to happen next minute. Who's going to save you? Whose blood is going to be, the one who you need tomorrow.
Mm,
So that was something which I think I cherish the most. Besides, other things, being self-motivated. You were sometimes sitting all alone. People start talking about loneliness and isolated, and we hear so much in COVID. Oh, but I think somebody sitting on the post. हमारे लिए एक entertainment होती थी. Look at the thermal imaging
mm,
cameras and see the world. You can't even go up. You can't see the world out. Right? You're sitting isolated on the post with one buddy of yours, and entertainment is just keep looking at the surveillance cameras and see, okay, बाहर क्या दिख रहा है, जानवर चल रहे हैं. I think you learn that. Okay,
mm,
right? That you know God has given a human being a very lot of ability which you underutilize. Okay,
mm,
and being self-dependent, being self-improving every single day, being responsible towards others and others' life. I think those are the things. Lessons are many, but what they stand out is, I think if we learn to live in the moment and enjoy our life, I think the life and everything will be so beautiful, and we'll be so
mm,
much happier than what we are. Uh, and the second biggest lesson which I learned is that we must love our families, because you saw just we lost such beautiful lives. Okay, I think it's being in a family of an army or a defense officer, being his wife or being his kid is something very different. And till you are alive, I think you must love them so much, that you always die as a war hero. Okay, because there's nobody which gets affected as much they get affected, because they can hear this news anytime,
mm.
right? I think you must love your loved ones. I think that's something which I learned, and I think everything I am today is all because of Army. I
Got
wouldn't have been what I am
got it, sir.
without wearing that uniform.
Got it. So my final question to you would be, since a lot of aspirants are watching us, so what will be your message to all of them who want to join the forces, be it Army, Air Force, or Navy?
The biggest lesson is that do not take it as a job. It's a way of life. It's your way of life. It's not a source of income. It's not, you're not looking. Yes, you're being paid a good salary. Everything is there, but nobody on this earth can be paid, 100, 1 lakh rupees and told that, okay, go and get yourself, into a situation where you can be killed. It's 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 a life. If you're there, if you have in that in you, that yes, you want to be different, you want in your life, that Mr. or Mrs. to be removed, and you live. I am a colonel. I live with it. I will die as a colonel. Nobody can take out my rank, right? This is the only and only organization where you earn it for your life. Whatever you are there, and you are different. I think academy is the one thing which will make you a man out of a boy. You really behave like one, and you want to make a difference to yourself, to your family, and to your surrounding. You always have some stories to tell your kids, your things which you can really cherish. Nobody can tell those experiences which you gather, right? And the best is, if you really want to enjoy your life and you really want to know the value of life, I think you need to wear uniform. There's nothing better than that, which can be, they always say, that somebody, they are, how much do you earn? He says, I earn 100 salutes a day. That nobody can make you earn. You can be in IIT, you can be in any other place. You can try to pay a 1 crore to anybody and say, salute me. He has he can refuse it. But this is one place where, out of love, your men salute you, and you get that feeling. You never feel homesick. It's a home again, away from your home, and sometimes it is even a better home, because there is no jealousy. There's all as your men, as you're doing, is loving you, respecting you from your heart, and you have all the reason to earn it. Right? I think that's what they all need to do. It's not a job; it's a way of life.
Got it, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, for your time on this session. It was really interesting to know about your various experiences that you had within the Army and various lessons that you have shared with us. And I hope a lot of people who will be hearing us will get to learn a lot of things. And thank you again, sir, for your time. Jai Hind.
Akash, thank you so much, and Jai Hind to everybody, and God bless everyone. And I wish best of luck to every aspirant who wants to be part of the defense. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.